Jesus is the answer for the world today.
Hello family, Pastor Laulu Christian Pentecostal Church, and we're continuing our study or our talks, devotional on the holiness of God, being holy, separate, set apart, different than any of us in comparison to mankind. And today we are on Genesis chapter 11, right? Now in Genesis chapter 1, in Genesis chapter 1 and as well as chapter, I believe it's chapter 8, on chapter 9 rather, God gives a command. God says, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, spread out, fill the earth, and subdue it. Okay, so this commandment was given. And then in Genesis chapter 11, which is where we have the account of the Tower of Babel, I want to read specifically, I'm going to read very shortly from the Amplified, starting from verse 1. It says, now the whole earth spoke one language and used the same words. And as people journeyed eastward, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they settled there. And they said one to another. So they journeyed eastward, they found a plain, they stayed there. They said one to another, come, let us make bricks and fire them thoroughly in a kiln to harden and strengthen them. So they used brick for stone as building material, and they used tar, bitumen, asphalt for mortar. They said, come, let us build a city for ourselves and a tower whose top will reach into the heavens. And let us make a famous name for ourselves so that we will not be scattered into separate groups and be dispersed over the surface of the entire earth as the Lord instructed. So we talk about the Tower of Babel, and it's like, okay, look, they intentionally decided to do against or to rebel against what God called them to do. God says, go scatter, fill the earth. They say, no, we're going to stay right here. We're going to build right here, right? So verse 5. Now the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, behold, they are one unified people, and they all have the same language. This is only the beginning of they will do in rebellion against me. And now no evil thing they imagine no evil thing they imagine they can do will be impossible for them. Come, let us, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, go down and there confuse and mix up their language so that they will not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the surface of the entire earth, and they stopped building the city. Therefore the name of the city was Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the entire earth. And from that place, the Lord scattered and dispersed them over the surface of the earth, of all the earth. Okay, so God gives command, go scatter, fill the earth. They say, no, we'll stay right here. Right here, we're going to stay right here. We're going to build our city. God says, oh, okay, fine. Come, separate your language. You can't understand you. So therefore, you're going to go that way, because how can two walk together if they don't agree? How can two walk together if they can't communicate? Okay, so they scattered. We see that God commanded, man rebelled, God responded. And by God responding, his will was accomplished. We see that here. And there's a mirror or something similar that happens in the New Testament. In Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts, Jesus gives the Great Commission. And he says, go, right? Now in Acts 8, specifically, Acts chapter 1, I believe it's verse 8, it says, but you will receive power and ability when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you'll be my witnesses. This is Jesus speaking, to tell people about me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria, and even to the ends of the earth. So Jesus says, this is what's going to happen. And earlier he had commanded them to go into all the world, making disciples, baptizing, and teaching people what I've taught you. Okay, what did the church do? After they received power from on high on the day of Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit came upon them and they were filled with the Spirit of God, they remained in Jerusalem. And they grew in Jerusalem. They did not go as they were commanded. And then Stephen was martyred. Persecution came to the church. Then they scattered. And when they scattered, the gospel was spread throughout the earth. And what's even more interesting is that we talk about Saul, known as Paul, who was great in the persecution or great in persecuting the church, in turn became the great evangelist for the church by the power of Christ. And it's like, okay, Jesus commanded. The church did not obey. Persecution came. And God responded, even in the persecution. So when I take that and think about it, and I say, okay, what about me? What God has commanded, do I obey or do I rebel? If I rebel, God will respond because He is sovereign and His will be accomplished, especially for the greater purpose when it comes to the magnificent or magnanimous will of God on the earth. For the gospel purposes, God's will be accomplished. And it's always in my best interest because I have a good Father to obey with expediency. So as I think about this, it's like I just, it makes me, not out of fear and not out of self-preservation only, well, yes, only, but also because of the magnitude of my love for my Father, because of His love for me, that I say obedience is better than sacrifice, that I will obey. What you have called me to do, I will do. If you say go, I will go. If you say stay, I will stay. If you say, Lord, that I should obey your word, I should obey your word. As Pastor John said on Sunday during his message, it is not the 10 suggestions, it's the 10 commandments. And as you command, I will obey, because you are God and I am not. You are good. All your ways and all your thoughts are good. What you say is good. And because it is good for me. So God bless you. And be encouraged that when we obey, it is always in our best interest. And God's will be accomplished. God bless you and have a blessed Friday.